John Felt here. This is the weekly weather briefing for November 16th, 2024. I have some travel planned later this week, so I'm running a little bit early. Looks like a pretty active week with some late fall type weather, and we talked about that in the past. Early fall is more like summer, late fall can be more like winter. We're getting layered clouds, gray days, and more active jet stream. Let's talk about that in today's briefing. First of all, last week, take a look at this. We had some heavy rain over the Ohio River Valley, across the plains, central plains, and then the Pacific Northwest, higher elevations and coastal areas of the Pacific Northwest. Now, I discussed this in a post this past week, but we've had some significant improvement in the drought. Bottom right, in those areas of green, have seen some significant improvement. Parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri. And even with that, we're still running with almost a record number of states in some degree of drought. So take a look at all the areas of drought. So some improvement, but a ways to go. Now last week, as far as temperatures go, most of the nation was above normal. Now for a change, the southwest U.S., Phoenix was below normal. That's a big change. Southeast U.S., 10 degrees above normal, and anything in yellow and orange above normal temperatures. Now some spots of the nation, especially South Texas, made it into the 90s. A few little isolated spots in Florida as well. Now take a look at the Southwest. Remember, that's been hitting 100 degrees. That only made it into the 80s over the last week. Was there any cold air? Well, there was some. Those areas in purple at higher elevations of the Rockies in the 20s or even colder. Areas in blue, 10 to 20 degrees. So right now, the dew point's not that impressive in many areas. It's only in the 30s, and Texas is even have some of that drier air made it down into Texas. So pretty quiet as far as dew point. As far as rivers go, the areas we're looking at high flows is along the immediate east coast. Generally minor flooding, but a few spots more significant flooding. That's the area in the red, and that's moderate flooding. Pacific Northwest as well, due to that heavier rain, we have some higher flows. Okay, so let's take a look at the jet stream. We have a Greenland high type pattern, and has this big area of high pressure here. But what we have a ridge of high pressure pushing north, and this low pressure to the south. So warm weather here, cooler weather here. But this system is going to eject out of the southwest, and that's going to provide our action this week. Take a look at Wednesday here, and that system has now pushed out very quickly, and that's going to produce some severe storms. It's going to produce some heavy rain, some gusty winds, and much colder temperatures. Let's go out a little bit further here. A week from now, next Saturday, that low is now pushed off to the east, and what we have here is we have high pressure again ridging. Let me go back. I left out the Pacific Northwest. I wanted to focus on that. We have a number of storms affecting the Pacific Northwest. Here's one on midweek. Here's another one late in the week. So the Pacific Northwest is going to be a spot for enhanced precipitation as well. Now let's look at temperatures here. And you can't really see it as well here with the temperatures pushing in. It's going to be several days. It might not show up as well in these averages. But this colder air is going to be pushing blue being below normal and replacing that above normal air as we go through this week. And then we're eventually, as we get towards the end of November, maybe near December, this is what we have here. This is just a little bit above normal. But this week, we're going to have an abrupt change. This is Wednesday. Look at this area of high pressure. Very strong north winds here pushing in. Here's our Pacific Coast storm. Look how deep that is. That's going to be a very significant storm over this area. And then this front coming through, and look at the cold air coming in here, pushing out that warm air. So areas that have started off warm are going to end up cold or cooler. And then the East Coast is going to get that well above normal, but that's colder air is headed that way as well. Wanted to give you an idea. I picked Omaha here, and that gives you some idea. The normal high is about 47 degrees. So look at this. We are going to be well above normal for the next 3 days. Then that front passes, and look at this. We're down to highs only 41. So we go from well above normal to a bit below normal as we go through the week. And we're going to see that at quite a few spots. What about the tropics? Well, you might have heard of Tropical Storm Sarah. It's produced very heavy, devastating rain, parts of Guatemala, Honduras, and Belize. They'll be moving across the Yucatan Peninsula. There was, for the last week, some speculation that this might move into the Gulf and re-intensify. I don't think so. I think that's a low probability, but we'll keep an eye on it. Some of the moisture with that, though, could get entrained in that front, and that's what could work off to the east. And you can sort of see that here. That's possible that some of that moisture could cause some heavier rain. So as far as the areas of heavy rain, what I'm watching this week is I'm watching the Pacific Northwest, and that's where we could get some very heavy rain. I'm watching the plains again, into the Great Lakes, and then maybe this area down here as well. This is that system on Monday, and look how this area of low pressure is enhancing that rain. Now, in the colder air, there could be some snow as well, and this is where snow is forecast, generally at the higher elevations of the Cascades and the Rockies. And finally, behind this system, looks like a pretty extensive dry pattern and quiet pattern for many parts of the nation, but the western U.S. and the northwest U.S. still looks quite active. So a very active front passing through many areas this week with perhaps some strong storms and some heavy rain in spots and a big transition in temperature. I'll be back on schedule next weekend on Sunday, but I wanted to get something out early before I headed out. Have a great week. Take care.